Welcome back to the Byte-Sized Brief. I'm Ross Silva, your host. Today we have Mahmud Rahimberganov, our senior cloud engineer at Forteller. How you doing, Mahmud?
Good morning. How are you, Ra?
I'm doing okie doke. Really excited to have you on. Love fresh faces. Love to see it. We've been getting some questions around MSP, and I have a question for you today. You ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, question today is, how often do audits surface issues leadership assume we're already in control?
Short answer, it's more often than leadership expects, and not because people are careless, but because systems they drift. In my experience, audits they frequently surface issues leadership believed were already under control.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting is that these findings they are rarely about missing intent or bad decisions. They're usually about assumptions that stop being true over time. And most control frameworks, they look solid on the paper, but the policies they exist, they access reviewed all the time, and they're defined, and all the environments are separated, and processes were once validated, they're not kind of true anymore. But because the systems, they evolve and new tools, new teams, and new automations comes up, and then control quietly drifts. And permissions accumulate, exceptions become permanent, and manual steps run in tribal knowledge. And monitoring doesn't keep pace with the scale. So audits are good at exposing the gap between the design controls and operating controls. That's why we have these audits. And leadership is they often assume that because the control was implemented once, and they might think it's still effective. And these audits, they show us whether that control is actually enforced, observable, and repeatable for today. What I have learned during these audits, the audit findings, they are not a failure. They're just a signal. And they highlight where the ownership is unclear, where the automation is missing, or where the controls rely too heavily on human behavior and instead of systems. Okay. And the most effective organizations, they treat audits not as a compliance exercise, but as a feedback loops. They move controls closer to the code, automate enforcement, and they build continuous validation with annual verification.
I love that.
So yes, audits often uncover surprises, but when leadership, then leadership uses those findings to strengthen the systems, and rather than assign the blame, audits become one of the most valuable tools for improving resiliency and security and trust.
Gotcha. I love that spin on it that you have, where outages are a tool and a signal for improvement and not this
Mhm.
like big, bad, horrible thing, which we don't want them, right? We absolutely don't want them, but
Yeah,
it's a learning tool. So keep your eye out for those signals, y'all. And thank you so, so much, Mahmoud, for sharing your wisdom on the topic. Really
of
appreciate
course.
it.
Thank you so much, Ra.
All right. See everybody on the next Bite Size Brief.